Good afternoon, Bishop Bryan families. Thank goodness it's Friday. I want to give you a little update today via a video message. How good it is to be back in school. Our overall goal for this year, as you know, for our reasonable restart plan is to provide a safe and healthy environment for our students in which they can learn face to face, if at all possible. But no matter what, in a way that meets our students' and families' needs. To date, I feel that we've done a great job, thanks in large part because of the cooperation from you, our parents, and the work of our faculty, staff, and administration. So let's keep this good thing going. As always, I continue to monitor the situation surrounding COVID through staying up to date on Governor Burgum's press conferences, in contact with our local health officials at First District, and with discussions with a committee of parents, which include healthcare workers who help me with our COVID response as a kind of sounding board and task force committee. Over the last few weeks, there's been much change and discussion at the state levels regarding the North Dakota response for COVID. I think we all remember that a couple of weeks ago, the state health officer issued a confinement order for all close contacts that was then rescinded within 24 hours, and all of the hubbub about that. But also, one of the things that changed was the guidance about mask wearing and close contacts. According to the new guidance, if there is a situation in which a person who does not live with the person who tests positive for COVID is within 6 feet for 15 minutes, which would normally make you a close contact, they are not required to quarantine if they were both wearing masks. So in other words, the current state of affairs, the current guidance is such that normal non-residential close contacts, if both are wearing masks, do not have to quarantine. And for us, this could be helpful. For us at Bishop Bryan, this could simplify our lives and help our students stay in school and on the court or on the field. So I'm encouraging our parents this weekend, or at least today here, our parents and our students to take this step next week of wearing a mask while in school, especially in areas that are high traffic like hallways or closer proximity. It won't hurt, and it could help us continue to learn, practice, compete, and stay out of the COVID loop. Help us to we could help by doing our part. So I'd like to say another thing about this. I believe our plan is very reasonable, and this doesn't change our approach. In fact, I think this encouragement fits exactly with our approach, which is to try to balance mitigation with normalcy. Right now in Minot, the situation is such that if we can help our healthcare providers and hospital stay ahead of this spike in our community, we want to do that. Not to live in fear, certainly not to lock down, but to take a step for now that might help. I'm attaching to this email a document that speaks a bit about what masks to wear and how to choose them. Not all masks are the same. In fact, please do not wear neck gaiters. There appear to be studies that demonstrate that neck gaiters can actually make things worse by creating smaller particles depending upon what fabric they're made out of. If you need a mask, we have a bunch of cloth masks in the office. Stop and pick one up. They're free. So take a look at that document, please. And if you choose to wear a mask next week, make sure it is one that doesn't have the wrong effect. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Masks are not a cure-all, but I do believe that right now, especially with the spike we see in Ward County here and in Minot, it makes sense for our school to encourage more of their use, especially amongst older students and student athletes. I'm not so naive as to think that everyone that wears a mask will wear it properly, or that we need to wear them all the time, or that they are a panacea. In fact, it may not be good to wear them for long periods of time, or especially improperly. There may be reasons, some of which are kind of anecdotal, but of other side effects that kids maybe have from wearing masks for such a prolonged time. So this is a matter of prudence. Parents of smaller children, use your discretion. For younger children, and I saw this the other day. I was celebrating Mass over at Little Flower, and as I was preaching, I was noticing one of the little boys has a neck gaiter, and while he was playing with it. I mean, it's what kids do. So as I was preaching, he had this neck gaiter up all the way over his head, and he was looking through it, and it's like, well, so you just breathed on that, and now potentially that neck gaiter is touching your eyes, mucous membranes around your eyes, which could be not helpful. But on the other part of the neck gaiters is just that they can help. They may not help with keeping things large droplet, but could actually aerosolize the whole thing. So there are nuances to this whole thing. So for younger children, use your discretion, folks. Remember, younger children need very much to see facial expressions and social cues. It might not be the right answer for young kids, especially young kids that are so little affected by this thing. The older a student is, the less downside there is, I think, to wearing a mask when it seems reasonable. And if it helps us to keep kids from being identified as close contacts in school and competing, then I say it's worth doing, at least for the time being. I'll say this, right now, our students can remain socially distanced for most of their day if they try to, not isolated, but outside of that 6-foot range for the majority of their day. I don't think this needs to be an all or none approach. I just think that there may be some benefit to our students, especially to our student athletes and school, if we wear them in those situations that may not be so clear-cut about social distancing. On a different topic, I'd just like to ask also, when we are attending Bishop Bryan events at other schools, volleyball games, what have you, that we're courteous and that we follow their guidelines. So if Kenmare or any other school wants visitors to sit in a certain place or wear a mask while there, let's be good guests. Let's be courteous enough to follow what they want us to do on their property, right? Just as we would expect people to abide by our rules when they're on our property. Finally, I just want to say a word about what is ahead for us at Bishop Bryan. Things are picking up in our city with regard to COVID. There's no doubt about it. We've had one case in the school, one student case in the school to date, and one faculty. But there's going to be more to come. This virus is going to move through our community and building, just like the flu moves through our building and community. There's no stopping it. What we have in place allows people who really can't get this thing to take extra precautions and to make sure that they're learning virtually, what have you. And there's a whole other debate about, about building immunity through herd immunity, basically. And I don't know, I'm not an epidemiologist, but I know that enough to know that the science and the prudential approach to how we're handling this is debated, at least by very, very good people. So, when it comes to a school like this, I think the big thing that is moving me to make this video today is a couple of things. The spike that's going on right now in Minot, and so to be cognizant of the fact of where Trinity Hospital is right now in terms of capacity, and to keep our students in school learning face-to-face, and to make it simpler for them to do that, especially with regard to student athletes, so that this isn't disrupted. That if this can help us to continue to have some normalcy, then that's a really good thing. Our goal is one of balance, and it's to stay operational and to weather the storm. right now, from what we're hearing and seeing in Minot, I think it's the right time to take a step, to pump the brakes a little bit if possible. And I think this is a way that maybe can help that way. I don't know how much of an effect, but it won't hurt. So thanks for your time today. Thanks for your support, everybody. Your advice, especially your prayers. These are complicated times. We need to pray for each other. Have a great weekend.